Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Total Truth Show. And here on the Total Truth Show, we want to help you break free from the lies and propaganda of the mainstream media, all the disinformation and misinformation. We want to help you blast through all of that. And my name is Ken Kleinberg, coming to you all the way from the USA, San Diego, California.
And I'm Aldwyn Altuney, known as the Media Queen from the Gold Coast in Australia.
There is a great awakening happening in the world right now, and you're going to want to come along for the ride.
A lot of lies are coming to the surface. There's a lot of awakening happening, and as this awakening is happening, people realize they've been deceived for years. They've been lied to for years around all sorts of things. A lot of people have been blind to what has been going on in the world, and now they're starting to see. They're starting to see things in a different light.
Through our show, we want to raise global consciousness to quantum critical mass. And we don't want you just to accept the things that we're saying. That goes for our guests as well. We want you to do the research for yourself. Get out there and start questioning things. Start looking things up. Do the research. We want to pave the way for a new awakened world. And we want you to come along for the ride. So with that, let's get started, you guys. Let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome.
Welcome to Total Truth Show, episode 93, the truth about conscious creation. A hot topic today and a hot guest. The amazing Leanne Clune is with us, and we have a very special announcement to make today. We're going to introduce Leanne in just a moment with her background. And Ken, of course, my co-host from San Diego. How are you going there, Ken?
Doing great. Doing really good.
Fantastic. And welcome everyone who's joining us right now on Instagram. I can see Amy Rose Giltrap, beautiful lady. Great to see you there. Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, Twitch, wherever you're joining us from. We invite you to comment and let us know what you get out of this show as we're going. Or if you have any questions as well, pop those in the chat. And we like to make this an interactive show for the next 90 minutes or so. Now, a little bit about our beautiful guest, Leanne. Now, she has helped hundreds of entrepreneurs save millions of dollars while breaking free from income ceilings. She teaches that financial freedom isn't about money. It's about alignment with your superconscious creator self. She helps business owners transcend limits, create wealth with ease, and achieve true freedom. And she also hosts the Legacy Spotlight Show, showcasing impact-driven entrepreneurs. Now, I've been in 2 books with Leanne, Radiant and Legacy Business Builders, where I've had a chapter. A lot of you will know I'm in about 20 different compilation books. I've seen how a lot of different people put together compilation books, and some have been better experiences than others. However, I'm very excited today to announce that Leanne and I are collaborating, and we're putting a joint book out together and inviting you to come and put a chapter in our book. And it's called Fear to Freedom, Conscious Creators Manifesting Magic, and it's going to be very, very exciting. We'll share more about that today. But firstly, welcome aboard, Leanne.
Thank you so much, Aldwyn. Thank you so much, Ken. I'm very thrilled to be here today with you both.
We're so excited to have you here, and I love the way you work. You have a lot of attention to detail. You put your heart and soul into everything you do, and I love how conscious you are, and it does make the world of difference as we talk today about the truth about conscious creation. Now, you have quite an interesting background, going from finance to sort of getting into the conscious world. I mean, it seems almost like 2 completely different worlds. How did you go from finance to this? Give us a little bit of your background.
Yeah, I've always been a very intuitive person, and that was always flowing in the background. Even when I did mainstream finance with my clients, it was always coming through, and I helped hundreds of clients save millions of dollars over the last 20 years. And what I started witnessing was that it wasn't shifting them as much as what I wanted them to shift. So it wasn't a sustainable shift, and that really bugged me. And I spent the last 10 years researching what was going on. Some of these clients, I was saving $1,500 to $2,000 per month, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But what I found out is that they'd come back to me a few years later and they'd say, Leanne, it was almost like an SOS. I'm stuck again. Can you fix me up? And they had me as their magic pill. So I was creating huge shifts in their financial world. But what dawned on me is that they weren't sustainable because the problem was an internal problem, not external with the numbers.
Yes.
So I became fascinated. I was obsessed actually with finding the answers to this. What is going on? Why are these people stuck in this seemingly endless loop of they'll create more money and then something will happen, they'll end up spending more money and they're back where they started? What's going on? I studied countless courses. I went to all the professional development, and I just, and I finally, after years and years and years, and I mean, it was happening to me as well. It was happening to me. I would be able to consciously create the amount of money that I needed, but I was hitting income ceilings, just hitting them. And I knew that I could do it. I knew in myself I could do it. I was doing everything that I thought was right. And what I found out was that it's the unconscious. The unconscious will keep us at a set limit according to our own set of beliefs and our rules, and it will keep us there at the ceiling until we start consciously creating. So we have to move from the problem paradigm, is what I say, of I need this much money, to consciously creating a life on our terms, not about a set amount of money.
Yes, it's interesting. I've found a lot of people over the years, if they make sort of $100,000, say, for the year, they might make 10% more or 10% less. Or if they make $1 million, they might make 10% more, 10% less, one year or the other. And then there seems to be quite a big gap to go from 100,000 to $1 million a turnover, and then 1 million to 10 million. So to add a zero on each time seems to be quite a massive jump. And a lot of people, of course, do have issues around money because we were taught that money doesn't grow on trees, and the love of money is evil, or we've got a lot of subconscious beliefs around financial abundance, and this is where a lot of people have arguments as well over money, right? How many arguments do you see? Relationships break up?
That's massive. Yeah. And what happens is we think, so we've got a current reality where, like you say, we might be earning 100,000 a year and we want to jump to 200,000 a year or whatever it is. Our desired reality, for instance, might be 200,000 a year, and we can work it all out on paper. We know that we can do it. We can work out how exactly to do it. We can work out we need this many more clients, this many more products, whatever it may be for the particular business. And we start moving towards that goal from thinking that we know all the how of how to do it. But we're thinking that when we get to 200,000 or our desired reality, that reality is going to be better than our current reality. And this is where the problem is. This is where the big problem is with the unconscious. So we start moving towards creating the goal, and then something happens. You see it all the time. You see it in most of the population. They'll get sick. Their kids will get sick. Something will happen. They might even have an accident, and they're straight back to where they started, or within, that 10%, like you say, Aldwyn. They're back to that, not what they actually want to create. And it's the subconscious keeping us safe. That's what's happening in the background. It actually starts within financial freedom.
And this is where, interestingly, our book is called Fear to Freedom, right?
Yes.
And Rose says, wow, exciting about the book. Good to see you there, Rose Davidson.
Hi, Rose.
Hey, good to see. Yes, it is very exciting, Rose. So if you want to be part of it, or anyone else watching this, very, very excited about this collaboration. And, I think when you can collaborate with like-minded people and also have a lot of fun, and Leanne and I always have great laughs together whenever we're together. What we're doing essentially with Ken, this is a collaboration. And look at this, 93 shows in. We've never actually met in person. We met online. We interviewed each other for each other's shows, and then realized we had this common interest of helping to share the truth about, for Ken, it was around health. For me, it was around the media. And here we are, this beautiful collaboration. And I always say, it's a lot more fun when you can do projects together. So Leanne and I, it's going to be an absolute blast with this book. Fear to Freedom. And everyone, I'm sure, can relate in some way to having some kind of fear in our life, because most people have one of the three beliefs: that I'm not good enough, I don't belong, and I'm not loved, right? They're the three common things that a lot of people have. And often there's things that happened in our childhood where we got shut down, right? Where we had some kind of trauma. I've just seen this with my beautiful mum 7 weeks ago, got knocked over by a carer in her house, broke her arm, and hasn't been able to walk for the last 7 weeks in a hospital bed. It's been absolutely horrible. So she's had all this fear now. She was walking fine before this fall, right? She was walking for half an hour, no problem. She was stable on her feet. But since the fall, she's had this fear now, and she has dementia, which doesn't help. She has this fear of now getting up out of the bed. However, we did get her up. Good news is last night she did actually get up and hopped in a wheelchair, and we were able to wheel her around without her fainting or her blood pressure dropping so much that she wasn't able to do it. And she had a beautiful smile on her face and was so excited to see the outside world again. It's like sometimes we don't realize how amazing the world is until we have things taken away from us, or have our freedoms taken away in some way. And we saw this through COVID, of course. How much do people have their freedoms taken away? And, some people, under that pressure of that, some people lost the plot, right? We had 4 times the suicide rates worldwide during the whole pandemic, right? And, a lot of people didn't work too well with that mentally, emotionally, psychologically, in all the different ways. It wasn't just a attack on our health. It was attack on our being in multiple ways. And this is where also being conscious, getting conscious where we're unconscious. We're talking about this on Media Queen TV last night. I was interviewing Cameron Quinn about how to reinvent your life. And we're talking about the conscious and getting conscious to where we're unconscious. So Leanne, what are your tips around that? How can we help shift this, moving people from the fear to freedom?
Yeah. And I think, that becoming conscious and creating a life on our terms, whatever that is for us, it's different for everyone, is the antidote to depression. I really do believe that. Because if you love your life and you're getting up and you've created a life on your terms that you love, then there's no room for depression.
Yes. Yes. It's like when you're in gratitude, there's no space for depression. It's moving from fear to love also, the fear to love space. And Ken, interesting with your journey where you were very overweight there for a long time. And you had depression then too, didn't you, back then?
I don't know if I would necessarily say depression. Probably, yes. But I would have to say I was more on the lines of I was very self-conscious with myself, the way I looked, the way things felt. And even back then, I never liked a photo of myself. In fact, I hated pictures of myself, and amongst other things, I thought I had a goofy smile and different things like that. It's funny nowadays. My coach and mentor a few months ago had me hire a photographer to get me professional photos. And so rather than literally dressing up into a full bang, all out suit and everything else, I dressed up in a way that shows my personality, who I am, and represents my brand. So I've got black jeans on that have hole cutouts in the knees. I have my blazer on, and then I switched between the sessions between a red shirt and a blue shirt. The red and blue representing my brand, because my brand is red, white, and blue. It's patriotic. What's interesting about that is almost every single one of those photos that was taken of me, and there's a ton of them, and I'm still I'm still like flipping through them and using them in content. But every single one of those photos I look at and I love what I see. I embrace what I see. I love the person that's in there. And so there's a lot that goes into that. But in answer to your question, Aldwyn, yeah, I would say that there was definitely an aspect and a dimension of depression in me at that time. But it was more lack of confidence. It was more being very, very in tune to the way I looked. And I didn't like the way I looked, and I didn't like the way I felt. Here's just another little story that I'll say around that. It was to the point to where whenever I went to an event, a business event or whatever, a conference, and I had to dress up for it, business dress, I had to wear my pants unbuttoned and then work to have the belt hide that. And do you know that pretty much all throughout the day, I was very, very, very conscious to the fact that where I'm wearing unbuttoned pants. Oh my gosh, what if somebody sees that? How awkward is that going to look? These are some of the situations and things that I went through at around that time. And even being over at friend's house, where I sat on a futon one time and I sat wrong on the futon and I ended up cracking the under frame of it. And the person at the house made a comment about my weight. It's like, well, it's probably because you're fat. And he meant it as kind of like a friendship loving jive, but I didn't show it and I didn't say anything to him, but that definitely sunk in. It was little things like that would, really get inside of me and I guess, if you will, disempower me and affect my, what's the word I want to use? Affect my self-esteem.
Yes. And that's what I'm hearing. There was a real journey of self-love happening through that, Ken, which is, amazing that you've come through that and now kept all that weight off for so long is extraordinary. So it's also that, one thing is to get conscious of where you've been unconscious, but actually also to want to change. You have to want to change yourself. No one else can do it for you. Right. So, and a lot of people are in the comfort zone. A lot of people are just comfortable in comfort zone. And of course, the growth happens outside our comfort zone. And it's been consistent with those changes. I've had depression over the years. I've had 4 friends suicide. And this is why I do so much around the Good News Day and the Global Good News Challenge, why we do so much around that to help lift the energy out there. But also that's been a massive journey for me because for a long time I hated myself. I didn't want to be here. I hated the world. I was angry. I suppressed my anger. I internalized it, which led to depression. It led to a lot of self-harm. I was, drinking a lot, smoking a lot, being very self-destructive. And I think, how we show up physically can be a sign of that, right? Mm-hmm. It can be a sign of if we're carrying the extra weight, what are we trying to protect? And I know, like, I've had a little bit of extra weight around my belly, and I've had a great naturopath, Cameron Saker. He said, send me a photo of your tongue. And so he looked at my tongue and he said, oh, you've got this issue and that issue. And he says liver, kidneys, etc. And so now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, okay, time to start to look at this a bit closer, because, when you do all the right things, you're eating healthy, you feel like you're doing everything, you're exercising, and yet you still can't shift the weight, then clearly there's something else going on there. So but actually getting clear on what is the actual issue. And a lot of people have parasites, that's a whole other thing as well, which we don't like to think of parasites, but I must say they look pretty gross under a microscope, that's for sure. So, this is something to be aware of and to look at and this is why a lot of people fast regularly and they do cleanses and all sorts of things. We're not designed to be eating 3 meals a day, really.
Nope.
Yeah. And of course, Ken, you can talk more about this, but again, this is a conscious creation of how we're going to show up in the world physically, right? How we show up physically, and then we've got the mental and emotional. But if if you are carrying a lot of extra weight, and a lot of us do, because we know most of the world is obese. How much of the world is obese? Ken, you probably got the stats on this kind of thing. How many people?
You ready for this? You ready? You just opened up like a freaking can of worms. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
All right. So check it out. Now, I have been told by a couple people now, and my coach being one of them, that this percentage is very conservative. And one of the reasons why this percentage is conservative is because this percentage also takes into account the countries with children that are deprived of nutrition and deprived of food, that are underweight. So keep that in mind as I share this statistic. Okay.
All right.
45% of the world's population is overweight or obese. Let me put that in perspective for you, because Leanne, I see you shaking your head. Yep. You're nodding your head, but I don't think you feel the weight of that. In the world, it's 8.5 billion people, right? 45% of that is 3.82 billion with a B people.
Wow.
There's the weight, right? 18 million people die every year from coronary heart disease. Why do you think that is? Well, first of all, it is not from meat consumption. It is not from saturated fats. It is not from any of those things that we've been told to stay away from all of these years. It is from processed foods, sugars, ultra processed foods, packaged foods, boxed foods, pre-made foods, all of it. That's what that number is from. Here's another little stat. Big Pharma made $1.27 trillion with a T, $trillion last year, but not a single cent was spent on teaching you how to get healthier. Their priority isn't your health, it's their profit. So, I mean, those are some just quick, and I have more stats that I can throw out there, but those are some quick stats to really throw the weight of what's really going on in the world today.
And it's a work in progress often, because I know even people who sort of look lean, etc., they may not necessarily be healthy. Like a lot of people who could be very skinny could be full of parasites and could have all sorts of issues going on. Doesn't mean necessarily you're healthy. So that's a whole other thing there. We've got Jeff Veal with us. Hello, Jeff. Breakfast time in Manila. Nice to see you guys. First time this year. Love your stories. Thank you, Jeff. We love your work as well. Good to see you. And now Jeff says something interesting here. Put your blood test through AI and be amazed. It will tell you more than your doctor.
Wow.
There you go. Blood test results. Let's start a weight loss clinic. Sounds like a winner, Jeff. Weight loss. It could be a
weight loss clinic. Yes. So I'd be definitely open to that for sure, as long as it had nothing to do with diets and it had more to do with here's how you lose weight sustainably, because that's how it's got to be done. It cannot be done overnight. It cannot be done in a way that doesn't produce lasting results. How you produce lasting results. There's a couple of things here. Number one, you produce lasting results in your weight journey by, number one, allowing the changes in habits enough time to sink in and become part of who you are in automatic. That's lasting results. And number two, you produce lasting results when you start taking the steps out of this world's food matrix system. How do you do that? I'll give you 3 things right now. Number one, start turning the freaking thing over. Number two, buy things with minimal ingredients and ingredients you can understand. Number 3, better yet, buy things with 1 ingredient. It cannot get any simpler than that. That's how it's done. Now, again, I'll preface, it's not an overnight thing. It's a step-by-step process, and it almost has to be a step-by-step process, because every change, every habit must become part of who you are. That is how, when you reach your weight goal, you stay there, because the internal process happened. Diets and quick fixes literally rob you of all the gold, all the gems, and all the treasure during that journey. And that's why it could not be about a diet ever again. All right, so I'm done with that rant.
Thank you, Ken.
That's, of course, I just wanted to add something to that, Ken, because that's amazing information. And it's conscious creation is how we feel about it. That's what it comes down to. So our life is as good as how we feel about it.
Yep.
Yes.
So if we're not
Absolutely.
feeling good about it, then we don't have a good life. You know, that's like the basis of the conscious creation. If we don't feel good about ourselves, what's going through our head all the time? What's the talk?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Something else that I'll lean into with that also, and it's something that I teach in my level 2 boot camp. So after you've gone through level 1 and you've gotten the foundation, now we go deep into all the practicality and applications of your journey and what that looks like. So the real application stuff, the meaty stuff. One of the things that I talk about in that particular boot camp is I talk about loving your food. Loving your food in a very, very, very healthy relationship. Loving the foods that love you back, creating that feedback loop that God literally originally designed food to be. The enemy has literally taken food and created frustration, stress, all of that out of it. That is not the way God designed food to be. God designed food to be nourishing to us. God designed food to be a source of joy, to be a source of pleasure, not pleasure and joy in the sense of addiction. That's how the industry has twisted it. So people, they love their Doritos, but what they don't realize is in that aspect and in that industry, that love was actually created because the food was created to be addictive. And so they love it because the industry created that false love in them. And now the food's become an idol rather than something that is cherished, something that we do out of fellowship. You know, like Thanksgiving dinner is usually about family getting together, loving, and we've got this culture that fellowships around food. Jesus, even as he was doing the suppers and different things with the disciple, there was fellowship there. This is what food was designed to be, not a source of frustration, stress, or addiction. That's what it's about, loving, really, truly loving your foods. So there we go.
It's like habits that go around with that as well. Like I know that every week, and it's not the easiest thing to do and it's more time consuming, but I go to the farmers markets. So I know, I talk to the landholders. I know how the food is grown. I know if they use pesticides, if they don't, if they're certified organic, if they're spray free. Some of them spray when it just germinates and that's it, you know. But you get to know the people that are growing the food. And that makes, when you go back to the supermarket from that makes you really go, oh, I don't know anything. Actually don't know anything about where this food is from.
Yes,
and the taste difference is just the way that food from the markets, the organic markets, makes me feel, talking from my experience, versus the supermarket is just, it's just, I can't even describe the polarities, even to the fact where my 9-year-old son, you know, you can go into some of the supermarkets and get free fruit for kids, and he can't eat it because it's not organic. He tastes the chemicals and he says, Mom, I can't eat it.
That's the other brilliant thing that happens when you begin to step out of their system. The brilliant thing about it is your taste buds begin to reset, your cravings begin to reset, and now your body goes back to the way God designed it to be. All of a sudden, cherry tomatoes taste sweet. All of a sudden, cucumbers taste sweet. All of a sudden, water, the taste of water comes back, and that tastes good. So it's just amazing what happens.
Yes, they say we're the most overfed and undernourished we've ever been, right?
Yes.
So much gold in what you've both shared. And I think of the weight gain. I think we put on weight in layers. We have to take it off in layers. We need to be patient with ourselves on this journey and notice if we're beating ourselves up because we're not losing the weight fast enough. Like that can happen, right? We all want instant results. And so, you know, this is where people buy into quick fixes. And there's even a product out there called Fix, which apparently helps with the weight loss, which, you know, I'm not into, but everyone's been raving about it. Well, I haven't been seeing people losing a lot of weight on this Fix thing, but, you know, hey, maybe it's amazing, but each to their own on that, right? You know, you have to do what works for you. But I do notice the addictiveness of food, I must say. And I often find when I'm like I love cheesels, for example. Now I know cheese is probably not that good for you, but I do love them. And I find when I start eating them, I just want to keep eating them. And it feels good in the moment, but then afterwards you don't feel nourished, and then you're still hungry and you want to have something else to actually get the vitamins into you. So these are all things to consider. We've got Fern, the buyer's agent, with us on Instagram. Hello, Andre Misiak. Hello, Don Martin. Good to see you guys. What are your thoughts about what we're sharing? And any questions you have, let us know in the chat there. And for those joining us also on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, wherever you're watching right now, let us know what you're thinking of our conversation right now. What are your thoughts or 2 bobs worth you'd like to put forward on that? We are talking about the truth about conscious creation. Yes, Ken, over to you.
There's one more thing that I wanted to share. So just around this. So there's a little framework. I wish I could share my screen, but I can share it without sharing my screen. There's a little framework that I designed around this. And so lean in with me on this. So it's called the infinity loop of belief and addiction. So with the industry foods, it starts with the fact that they have designed these foods to bring you to the perfect bliss point, which then starts creating new neural pathways in your head and starts to change your taste buds. It starts to change your cravings and different things like that. So you've got this bliss point, which leads to cravings. Then you touch on cortisol. Okay, starts messing with your cortisol, which then reaches into dopamine. So now you're going to these foods. Aldwyn, you said that you were eating those cheesy whatever things, and you keep eating them. This produces dopamine, and so you get addicted to that. Then later, what happens? You start crashing. Your energy goes down. You got brain fog. You got all that stuff going on. So you got the crash, and then what do you do to bring yourself back up? And to comfort that, you go back into their system and you start consuming more of their foods, which then creates the addiction. That is the infinity loop of belief and addiction that this industry actually created.
Thanks for sharing that. Now we're all conscious about that. I'm going to be very, very conscious next time I have some cheeses. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going into the infinity loop. Stop it. Turn the freaking over. I'll have you in my head, Ken. Go turn the freaking thing over. Look at the ingredients. I think it says corn, but of course, a lot of corn is genetically modified. Of course,
95% of it.
So any corn you're having actually is not such a good idea. But anyway, Leanne, back to you now. This is
back to you, my friend.
That there's big parallels as well between, there's the health that you're talking about, Ken, but there's parallels with the money as well. So speaking from my experience as a wealth strategist over the last 20 years, and talking about financial freedom, everyone talks about how their goal is to get financially free. And I've worked with many clients who are financially free on paper. They've got enough money to last them lifetimes, okay, in theory. However, they don't feel financially free. So they don't act financially free. And they are stuck in that loop of finances dictating their life and how they feel, even though they could stop work. They're stuck in this endless loop. If only I make a bit more money, if only I make more money. So, elderly
that's your infinity loop.
Yeah.
That's yours. Yep.
And it's the opposite of conscious creation, right? Because so they've got them, they are financially free. That's what we're told to work towards, to get, that's the ultimate. But what is it if you don't have freedom when you have that money? What is it? It's not free. These people are not free. Yeah. That's not freedom. Whereas I've also worked with clients who don't have financial freedom on paper, in their assets, in their cash flow, etc. However, they consciously create. They're 100% unshakably connected to their power, and they know that they can create whatever they want because they are connected to their power. Now, that to me is freedom. So I'd be interested to what everyone thinks about that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I love how you're talking about feeling quite a lot, because the healing is in the feeling, as they say. And I've been very conscious about how I feel since I started doing quantum work, actually with Dr. Espen many years ago. And he showed me Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness as a diagram. And I'd heard about this energy that happens and these frequency that, Dr. Hawkins, of course, was a psychiatrist in the US. He wrote the book Power versus Force. And there's a scale of consciousness which you can find in the Conscious Community Global Facebook group, which I actually created out of a breathwork session with Dr. Espen, created that group. Now, in there is this diagram that talks about when we get into different feelings, we vibrate at different frequencies. And our lowest feeling is going to be at shame. When we have shame over anything, we're at 20 hertz. And then it goes up from there. We have grief, we have guilt, we have fear. Fear is at 150 hertz. Anger is 100 hertz, and then it goes up from there. Love, when we're feeling love, we're at 528 hertz. Gratitude and joy are the same, 540 hertz. Peace is 600 hertz. Enlightenment is 700 hertz plus. So getting into conscious creation, I would imagine we're going to be up there in the enlightenment stage. We get this bit of enlightenment. We're going to go up and down this scale, and it all links to our energy points in our body, or chakras, which are your chakras are scientifically proven. Okay, it's not woo-woo. It's fascinating when you get conscious to, oh my gosh, how am I feeling today? Am I sad? Am I angry? I got a bit angry, I must say, before this call, because I was on the phone with aged care providers, and they're driving me frigging crazy. And well, they weren't driving me crazy. I was going a bit crazy with what I was dealing with the incompetencies of the system, where someone says to call this person, that person says to call that person. You're going round and round circles, and no one's getting anything done. And this is all bureaucracy and government and funded. And you think to yourself, what a frigging waste of time. But anyway, I came out of that very quickly, because we're now on the show and I'm loving what I'm doing. So now I'm back up into, gratitude and joy, back up to 540 hertz. So we are going to go up and down. It's all about, okay, when we have our low moments, and sometimes we just need to express it. Sometimes you just need to get angry without hurting anyone, of course. I think it's very important to be kind. You just need to express it somehow, let it out, and then move through whatever emotions we're going through. So I think that is a lot of this conscious creation, is actually to have that emotional maturity to actually go, oh, there I am, I'm vibrating at a low vibration there. And sometimes those low vibrations, they're there, that we need to learn things from those low vibrations, I believe, so that we can actually then move up and find gratitude in those feelings that we have. So actually getting conscious, what are you feeling about your financial situation? What are you feeling about your family, about your health, about all the 8 areas of life, about your spirituality, about, all these things, how are you feeling? And if you're feeling a low vibration, is there some learning in that for you that you could become conscious of and perhaps take action on?
Well, I think also, it's definitely in about the feelings, Aldwyn. I totally acknowledge that. I do think, though, that we get stuck on healing ourselves, like, oh, we're broken. That's why we haven't reached our goal. We haven't got our desired result because there's something wrong with us. And this is just fueling the personal development industry like crazy. But we're not broken. We're not broken. We're just in the wrong structure to consciously create. We're not broken. We don't need to be fixed.
And structure creates freedom was a great saying that I heard. Structure creates freedom, because structure is something I often resisted through life. Dad always said, Aldwyn, you got to be disciplined and organized. And it was like I went out of my way to make sure I wasn't disciplined or organized, because I was a complete rebel as a child. Right now I know dad was coming from a place of love, and now I've learned to be disciplined and organized. Now I still haven't got it completely down pat, but it's it's a work in progress. Some areas of my life I'm really disciplined and organized, and some areas I'm not. And so then I notice, okay, the areas that I'm procrastinating over, and DeMartini talks about this, right? What do you procrastinate over and what do you put off? And they're obviously not your highest value. And so actually getting conscious to, okay, where are my values? What are my highest values? Because whatever your highest values are, you're going to be more disciplined and organized generally in those areas. And you're going to show up in ways that you can serve more people if you have that structure, if you have the structure to create the freedom. So Leanne, with finances, it's a very structured kind of industry. How are you with discipline and organization?
Well, you know what? This goes for all of us. We're either in the problem paradigm which most of us are in for finances. I don't have enough money. It's a problem, right? So we're coming to try and fix the problem. Our goals are about fixing a problem. That's the problem paradigm. That's the opposite to conscious creation. The problem paradigm, we're in our heads. How are we going to do it? Need this much. This is, this is mainstream finance. This is what I studied for years. Like, what is the answer? Tell me the answer. What is going on with these clients? It's my experience of 20 years as a wealth strategist. If we're in conscious creation, we're going, what would I truly love? And if you can imagine that you're a being without a past, right? So imagine you have no past. I know it's really hard. It's a hard thing to imagine, but if you just imagine you've had no past and you just came to Earth right now, what would you want to create and how would your thinking be different? Would you be in the problem paradigm if you had no past?
No.
If you create from nothing, no. You'd have a blank canvas.
Exactly. You wouldn't be in it. So that's how all our limiting beliefs and all our egos stopping us is the problem paradigm. If we imagine, and we are, right? We know we are unlimited beings. So if you can imagine that you're a being without a past, then you can make true choices, not based on problem solving, but based on what you truly love. So, for example, a problem paradigm goal might be, I'm going to make 200,000 a year. And if you dig deeper into that, they're doing that goal because they need the 200,000 a year to pay off this debt, to pay off this, for their lifestyle. They're solving a problem with that end result. That's different to a true choice. When you're in conscious creation, you're making true choices which are not to solve problems. So what you're doing is you're accessing the superconscious field, is what we call it. And that's the wisdom. I want to, say, for example, I want to create a sanctuary, but I've got no idea how. We're not taught to consciously create. We almost have to unlearn all that we were taught about goal setting, traditional methods, and really to access our intuition. So if you're a being without a past, are you limited? If you have no past, I'd be interested to see what the audience.
No, well, often people act. Often people are living in their past because the past creates the future. They talk about this in Landmark. A lot of Landmark work. Your past is in the future for a lot of people, and
they bring it into the future. They project it in.
That's right.
So a lot of people have financial wounds and traumas. And that may stop them from purchasing another business. Actually, you know what? Sadly, it stops them from going for what they would truly love. It explains why my clients that are financially free on paper can't act like they are, because they're still stuck in a wound and a trauma that might have happened when they were a kid in the war for my elderly clients. And so they're still scrimping and saving, and they're not going to go on that world cruise that they would truly love. They're not even thinking about what they would truly love. They're stuck in that problem paradigm.
This is fascinating. because this is about your own personal problems right now. And because I immediately go to, okay, in business, it's all about solving problems. So someone comes to me, they want to get a message out about something, they want a press release done, they want it out to lots of people. It's solving problems. In business, it's all about solving problems, right? So how do you consciously create when you're solving problems in business?
We can we can solve with our wisdom much larger problems than we can with our mind. You know?
Right.
We can go into that. If we focus on the end result, if we make choices, if we feel into our unlimitless self, we make choices on what we would truly love to have rather than what we think we need. We all fall into that habit of doing the choices and goals of what we think we need and also what we think we can achieve, right? This is where that 10% comes that you're talking about, because we go, oh, well, you know, I've made 100 grand, so I can do 110, but our mind thinks we can't do 150. But our unlimited self goes, you can do whatever you want to do.
Yes.
Do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're solving problems in business that you're not enjoying solving anymore, if it's not a conscious creation to tackle that issue, then look at doing something that is going to bring you joy. And Bob Proctor talked about this. Now, Bob Proctor, of course, legendary personal development guy in America, and he died at 87 and he worked right up until his death because he loved what he did. So he was inspired to do what he did. And he said on a video on YouTube, when people asked him, how do you find your purpose? He said, do what you love every single day. Do as much as you can of what you love. And so finding the joy, finding the bliss in what you do, not limited by what you know of yourself or who you think you are from your past, and actually allowing that conscious creation, that intuition, that inner wisdom to come through to navigate the future, right?
Yeah. And like, how can you be depressed if you're doing what you love every day? How can you be depressed? Where's the room for the depression?
This is why, this is why I love what I do, though. Totally love what I do. Because and I'm sure you've heard the passion in my voice as I've shared everything that I've shared so far around my frameworks and what I do and stuff like that. This is literally love for me. And, and
it shows, Ken, right?
It does. It does. Yeah. So, it's just like the more people I get in front of, the more people that I set free from this industry of food addictions and this matrix food industry, which was literally designed for nothing more than profit. It was never designed for nutrition. It was never designed with your best health interest in mind. The more people that I set free from that, and they come through my boot camp and I see the light bulb go on, I see them making connections, the more joy that gives me. And then it's even more joy for me on the back end when I follow up with them and they've gone on to lose 20, 10, 15, 20 pounds just from the small changes they made from just going through that little portion. My boot camp is literally meant to kind of be a lead magnet, but it is so jam-packed and so deep and impactful that even Aldwyn midway through teared up because it was overwhelming just how deep, far, and wide the deception of the industry, the lies and deception of the industry went. Yeah. That's how impactful it is. That's what gives me so much joy. And yes, I know the money's going to come, but I'm really trying not to focus on the money because at this point where my passion lies is I just want to get in front of as many people as I possibly can to get this message out because there's a lot of people that aren't speaking this. That, in a sense, is where actually my frustration lies, is because these lovely social media algorithms are not put out there for the interest of we the people. So we have to work extra hard to get ourselves in front of people. That's where my frustration lies.
Yes. Now, the beauty is when you're in joy, you're actually operating from the heart space, which is actually represented by the color green in our chakras. Now, when we're in heart space, we're doing what we love, time and space disappear. And
Yes.
this is where Ken and I, our shows can often be quite epic. And, you know, we do our best to keep it to 90 minutes, and we'll do our best to do that today. But sometimes they go a bit longer, right? Because we just love to chat about what we're passionate about. And Leanne, you know, I know with you are also very in line and tune with what you're doing. Your book Radiant was extraordinary, which I had a chapter in, of course, and Legacy Business Builders. Now, these at the heart of this is actually tapping into this super conscious, that being a conscious creator, right? And actually tapping into the intuition and getting how powerful we are as spiritual beings having a human experience. What has your journey been like there, Leanne, like coming to conscious creation yourself? What has that journey been like?
Yeah, I think I really stepped into it. I've always been very intuitive and very much listened to myself. And I think that, and to my own, you know, just very self-aware. And I think that when I really came into it is I kind of lost that connection a bit through school. So I was always very academic. And because I was academic, I didn't know what to do. Like, you know, you get told as a 17-year-old kid that has no life experience that you have to pick a career that you're going to do for the rest of your life. And I just would think, I don't know what I want to do. So I was pushed into science because I was good at science and math. Don't get me wrong, I still love science and maths. But I was pushed into science.
That is one grateful thing that I'm very grateful for. I went to high school at a time and age where certain laws weren't in effect. I got away without ever taking a science class because I hated science. I got away without ever passing algebra. I got away without ever passing a foreign language because I simply had enough credits to graduate. I wear that badge proudly because it's just enough of all of that. But anyhow, continue.
Yes,
good one, Ken. I had a different experience. And so I remember just going, oh well, I'll do a science degree, and so I ended up doing a marine biology degree. But first, I did a biochemistry. I started in biochemistry. And that was very academic. Yeah, I had to get the marks to get into it. And then one day, this is my wisdom and my intuition that have always been very strong. Thank goodness. I'm very grateful for that. And it's helped to guide me amazingly in my life. But I was in the chemistry lab and I was doing it's called a titration. And I was down to a half a drop. And this is like a 10-page chemical equation, full on like Einstein type math. And I just had to do a half a drop in this. I was only allowed to do a half a drop, and I did a full drop, and my whole chemical equation was wrecked. And I cracked it. I remember I cracked it, and I just went, this isn't me. So this was guidance that I got. This is a high level guidance. You know, this was from the field. This isn't me. I'm a people person. You know, I don't want to work inside in a lab coat doing these dumb titrations that if I do more than a half a drop that are all wrecks and I've got to do it again.
Right.
And that's when I swapped my degree to a marine biology major. So I kept science. Like, I'm going to get outside. I'm going to, you know, get out in the water that I love, in nature. And so I moved from Geelong in Victoria up to Townsville in far north Queensland. I knew absolutely no one. I was terrified, but my intuition said to do it. And it was fear to freedom, Aldwyn, actually.
Wow.
It was fear to freedom. I was absolutely panicking to move from all of my family, all of my comfort zone in Geelong. But I knew that I had to do it. I went up there, didn't know a single soul, and it was James Cook University in Townsville. And what happened was they were a feeder school for marine biology in Australia at the time, and there was only a choice of really Tasmania, which I was not getting in my bathers in Tasmania. If I was going to go in my bathers, I was going to the heat. Even though Tassie was it was so close to Geelong. And they were the most fabulous years. After I got used to it, I met people from all over the world, all over Australia, many people that were in the same position as me that didn't know anyone that had come to do this marine biology course, because it was the best one in Australia. So that really was a fear to freedom story of mine, you know. And then lo and behold, I finished that, which, you know, I was told to go to uni, women go to uni, blah, blah, blah. If you're smart, you go to uni. That was the whole narrative. You would have grown up with that too, Aldwyn.
Yes,
and,
I did.
You know what? I graduated, and then they sort of I got into my last year, and they're like, oh, with marine biology, you know, you just got to keep studying. So you got to do your honours, then you do your master's, then you do your PhD. And I thought, I just want to work. Like, I'm sick of uni. I'm sick of being broke. I just want to work. I don't want to keep studying. I couldn't fathom it. So I went out, I worked for several years at the Department of Natural Resource Management in Western Australia. And I realised that that wasn't me either.
Right.
And so this another realisation, you know. And then it was when I actually got pregnant with my first son, and it wasn't planned. I got pregnant with him, and I was actually quite depressed because I wasn't aligned to the work. So it wasn't actually marine biology, because there weren't many jobs in that. I was educating on natural resource management. You know, it was science-based. It was using my degree. But I wasn't aligned, and I didn't feel like I was on purpose, and I wasn't meant to be doing that. So I remember I got pregnant with my son, and every Sunday, you know, I'd talk about feelings. I'd go into such a bad mood. I'd have a big fight with my husband because I had to go back to work on Monday, right? So it was really affecting my life. And found out I was pregnant, and I was like, that's it. I'm going to do what I love, because what sort of a mother am I going to be if I am not feeling good about my life? And so I'd always been really good at finance, always. That had come right through. I even did some accounting subjects in with my science degree, but I just found them a bit boring. And so I was like, I'm not an accountant. So what am I? And then I started studying financial planning, because that was the people, the communication skills. I felt like that was it. That was my my purpose. And so I studied that, and I started my business when I had my second child. So they were 2 years apart, and I just started it, and I started, I was studying at night. I was just completely motivated and driven to start this business. And I knew, like, I was just on my purpose path. I knew I was on a mission. And it was the most amazing thing ever. I worked my own hours. I watched my girlfriends go back to work and struggle and have to have their children in daycare and get them up at 6 a.m. and drag them out of bed and put breakfast down their throats. And I worked hard. But it was aligned, and it was ease. So sometimes I'd work at nights to see clients if my husband was at work in the day. And, so I consciously created that. And now I look back on that and I go, my oldest son, as you know, Aldwyn, he's a very gifted dancer. And as he got older, before he got his license, he was dancing 25 hours a week in the studio, and I was his taxi. And there's no way I would have been able to do that with a normal job. Or if I was a marine biologist out with the whales or something, you know.
Yes.
I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah.
And he was on America's Got Talent last year in the grand final. Like, he is right up the top of his field. And I wouldn't have been able to consciously parent how I wanted to if I hadn't have followed that. So I've always consciously created my whole life. Yes, I've gone sideways for sure and gone into the abyss and gone, hang on a minute, what's going on? And then I've course corrected.
Yep.
And and just I've always been like, I sort of did it and I lived it and embodied it. And then I started going, what am I doing? So I did it the other way rather than learning about it first. What am I doing? And people would say to me, oh, you've done this course and that course. No, I haven't. But you live that. I said, what is that course? What are you talking about? And that led me to William Whitecloud's work on conscious creation and focusing on the end result. And then that led me to Chris Duncan's work, and I've become certified in that. And that is just, to me, I feel like it's the holy grail in life, to live a life on our terms, whatever that is for you. To live a life on your own term is the ultimate. That's freedom.
I love that, Leanne. What a journey. It'd be great to give people some tips now. We are going to be wrapping up the show soon. Some tips on how they could perhaps, access some of this conscious creation, how they could maybe silence the mind to come in to find their true joy. Welcome aboard, everyone on Instagram. I can see here Nina Team Estate Agents, Robert Mull Wisdom World, good to see you. Rachel Ounds, Matea McKinnon, Afria Richardson, Shaney, and good to see you guys. So some tips. How can people access creation?
It's relatively simple, Aldwyn, but it's not easy because we're rewiring our neural pathways, right? We're unlearning what we have learnt and we do on autopilot. We're shifting it and changing it and consciously creating. So if we think about, if I use money, for example, because that's my zone of genius is the money and the conscious creation of the money and the financial freedom. So people came to me for 20 years. I did mortgage origination, loans, and financial planning. So do you think the clients were coming to me because they wanted a debt? No. They were coming to me because they wanted a house, a dream. And they knew that the only way to get it was to get the mortgage. So they're like, oh, I'll have the mortgage if I get the house. So if you feel into how that dream house feels, that's what you want to focus on. You want to focus on the feeling of the end result, not the goal so much. So I want a new house. Okay, well, how does that feel? It feels amazing. It feels like freedom. It's going to be different for everyone, of course. I just feel incredible every day. I've got this new house. It's my dream house. I'm energized. And it's focusing on those feelings that you want to feel. That's how to consciously create. All the stuff's going to come up in between. So it's also, I teach about what that is and how to recode that using my science degree comes back in here, how to recode it using neuroscience, proven strategies. right? Because our resistance is what stops us. And that's unconscious. Our resistance is unconscious. So just being aware we're in resistance. We'll go for something, the resistance will rise. That's what brings us back to the current reality, and we only move the dial a little bit forward. It's our resistance. So it's focusing on the feelings of your end result. If we look at financial freedom, why do you want financial freedom? Now, most people I talk to want financial freedom because it gives them time freedom, it gives them freedom of choice, and it gives them heaps of money. That's what they say. But how does it make you feel? How does financial freedom make you feel? So when you think about that, Ken and Aldwyn, I ask you, how does it make you feel when you feel into having unlimited money and resources that you can use? How does that make you feel?
The first word that comes to my mind is free. Absolutely 100% free.
Yeah.
And abundant would be another one. Let's see, like if I was right now doing this from a house of 3 rooms and this is my own private office and it's not a room with a bedroom and it like crammed all, it's not like an office and a bedroom crammed all in one small like little square room. I would say free. It would make me feel free. It would I would feel very much empowered by that because now I've got my own office. It's not mixed with my bedroom. Now it's, this and, I can get it set up in a little bit of a different way than I've got my background set up. Yeah, free is definitely a word that keeps coming up.
Yeah. Thank you.
And for me, I feel flow, and I feel there's a little bit of scariness there because I think for me, I've often related people who have lots and lots of money, as in the evil elites out there. I relate them to being sort of evil people, nasty people. And so there could still be some little blockage for me, even though in many ways I'm financially free now, with assets and with different things. There's always more that you can have when it comes to financial freedom, right? Like there's always people who might have 10 million, $100 million. It's like, oh, but there's billionaires out there. There's people making 10 billion, 20, whatever. Like, there's always can be this real trap of success that can happen where, where people sort of want more and more and more and more. And I think to myself, well, how much do you really need? Like, I mean, what are you going to do?
That's exactly it. That was my next thing. That's the total truth. It's the truth of it. And so you feel what it feels like to be financially free, right? So we had free, flow, abundant. Now, if you haven't listened to anything else that we've talked about in the whole interview, listen to this and write it down. This is the secret. So you come back to your current reality, and how do you feel about money now? Do you feel free? Do you feel flow? Do you feel abundant? Probably not, right? There's a disconnect. The current reality is different to the desired reality.
Yeah.
So what else brings you those feelings of feeling abundant, feeling free, feeling flow that you can implement into your life right now? What are 3 to 5 things that you can do? And I can give you an example. When I ride my bike, especially outside along the ocean, and it's not raining like it is now on the Gold Coast, and it's a beautiful day and sun's out and I'm riding my bike along the ocean, I feel free. That is freedom to me. And that's the same feeling as if I had $100 million, to be honest, because I feel so free when I'm doing that. That is the feeling of financial freedom. So I don't need to wait until I've got $100 million or until I'm completely financially free, which feels like it's too far away for most people. It feels like a pipe dream. I can go to my list of things that make me feel those feelings of the financial freedom right now and do more and more and more of them consciously in my everyday. And that's how you consciously create.
I love
That's
that.
your hack. So that's basically what I would
That's
call,
the hack.
yeah, I would say that's the life hack. Yep, that's it. That's
That's the
ingenious. So
system
what
hack.
you do is you find the things that give you that sense of that freedom, right? And you insert that emotion at that time to the goal and the dream that you have. You insert this. So that's how you bridge the disconnect gap.
Yeah.
That's actually really interesting. It's simplistic, but not a lot of
Yes.
people think of it that way.
Absolutely. And what happens there, it happens on many levels as well, but so then what you're doing is you're bringing your desired reality into your current reality, because life's as good as how you feel about it, right? So you're bringing that into your current reality now, instead of going, oh, one day when I'm financially free, then I'm going to be free.
Yes.
Then I'm going to feel flow. Like then in the future, well, it never comes.
No, it doesn't.
Not if you chase it, right?
We bring it in now by doing those activities that bring us the feelings of what we feel when we've got financial freedom. And then the resistance is less. And we move towards our goal faster because our unconscious identity is similar. So we're not changing massively, like, oh, when I get heaps of money, I'm going to feel this and that. But, oh, right now I'm in scarcity. I'm scared and I'm stuck and I'm worried all the time. I spend all my day worrying and I'm stressing out all the time. No, start. And it's a process. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's a process of internally retraining.
So what you are saying is the same thing that I say to each and every one of my clients. It is not an overnight process. You didn't get there overnight. It's not going to be undone overnight. It's a step-by-step process, and you get to do it sustainably.
Yes.
It's funny how a lot of these mindset frameworks apply to so many other different areas of life too.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yes. I love that too. If you feel the feelings, then you will take the actions, then you will get the results, right? And in Landmark, they say it's how you're being. When you're being a certain way, say you're being peaceful, you're being powerful, you're being sexy, whatever it is for you that lights you up. When you're being a certain way and feeling those feelings, so you could intellectually be being something, but you might not be feeling the feelings and actually embodying it fully. When you fully embody it and feel it and see yourself there and, use all the senses to really embody it, and then you will take the actions to get the results. And often people do get very stuck in, I want this, it's not happening quick enough, it's not happening quick enough, I'm a failure, it's not, like people get stuck in that loop of negativity when they don't achieve things they'd like to in the time they'd like to achieve them in, rather than acknowledging and feeling and flowing with what brings them joy, what lights them up.
That's it. You flow towards your goal, but when they're so different, when your current reality is so different to your desired reality, that's what creates the oscillation. So you move towards it, and then the resistance pulls you straight back to where you started. And it's super frustrating, and it's a very stuck type feeling. And, I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs and high achieving people, and they're still in this oscillating stuck cycle, and they feel like they can't break free. And it's just, that's what it is. That's a secret. It's the structure. Of course, there's so much more to it. But that in simplicity is the structure that you must be reorientate yourself into, that structure of conscious creating versus the problem paradigm.
And coming back to getting getting conscious. You got to get conscious first to be able to shift it, right? And most people, like I look at people, a lot of people like The Walking Dead out there. They're like num-nums. And of course num-nums is my affectionate term for The Walking Dead.
I know. I often laugh at her too every time she uses that phrase, num-nums. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Num-nums. There's so many num-nums out there that just have no joy, and we see it a lot in the cities, right? We see it in Sydney, Melbourne, often in the cities. We see a lot of this, and no doubt Ken in San Diego and LA right now. I mean, gosh, well.
Yeah, I'll tell you what my num-nums are. All right, you want to know what my num-nums are? And these are also my trigger points. Oh my goodness. It's the people that are still showing up at the gym, and trust me, it's so spread wide apart now that when these people do show up in the gym this way, they stick out like a sore thumb. At least they do to me. It's the people still wearing their mask. It's the people that it's like a trigger point. I literally want to walk up to them and take them by the shoulders and shake them and say, stop watching the freaking mainstream media news and stop believing the lies. It just drives me crazy. Even in church, every once in a while, I still see a person show up in a mask, and I'm just like, what are you doing? That's like that. Those are my num-nums. During the whole scam-demic, my biggest num-num was the person in the car alone with the windows down and wearing a mask. Because to me, there's so many things about that does not make sense. And I'm just like, do you not have a brain in your head? Can you not see how illogical that whole thing is? Why? And then going back to current day, now my mom always laughs at this when I explain this. So before, during the scam-demic, the people wearing masks, and they're in the car and they're driving erratically, or maybe there was somebody in front of me and they're driving absolutely like an idiot. Oh, they must be one of those people that has been wearing a mask for so long they lost all the oxygen in their brain. So that's what it was for that time. Now, when somebody's driving stupid and they're driving like an idiot, I'm just like, or somebody's acting like an idiot, I'm like, oh, they must be vaccinated. That's why. So those are my num-nums. All right, so there you go. Back to you guys.
Well, on the Gold Coast, there were people running on the beach during the pandemic, running on the beach with a mask on. And I always thought, oh my gosh, like, do they not know this is really bad for your health and you can't
There's
breathe?
There's people that were swimming with their mask on. I mean, how does that even work?
Oh my gosh, I'm surprised they survived that. But anyway, do your own research, my friends, on this one. And I actually have a whole interview that I did about the dangers of mask wearing and suffocation, etc., that got taken off YouTube for medical misinformation. So I have it up on my BitChute channel and on Rumble, and you'll see it in my Facebook feed. There's a link to it. I actually put a great little cartoon about this really overweight guy in a wheelchair having takeaway food.
I've seen that. I love that.
Talking to this skinny woman and says, put your mask on, you're affecting my health, right? So very interesting what we saw through that time. And look, these num-nums, I say this in an affectionate way because I know the num-nums essentially, like I know we're all connected essentially, right? And I know that underneath this num-num is actually a highly intelligent human being. If they were just to take the mask off and take the gags off and take actually take all the filters off of the brainwashing that we've had through our whole life and actually come back to who they really are, that they would tap into this infinite consciousness and realize that you don't have to live the rest of your life as a num-num. Okay, all right, guys, you don't have to be a num-num the rest of your life. And if you have been a num-num, it's okay. We've all had our moments of num-num.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Our moments of num-nums. All right. Now we've got Lotus Erotica has joined us. Hello on Instagram. Good to see you, beautiful. Robert Mull, Wisdom World. Now, Robert always has some wisdom to share. So let's see what Robert has for this conversation. Freedom comes when you start to love what you do and enjoy that process because money will come itself. Yes, love that.
Yes.
With the money, you have that experience and a healthy mind. Yes, Robert. And you discover your own potential in you and express it out to the world. Yes, beautiful, Robert. And in the end, we come empty and we leave empty, as in with no clothes, with nothing else other than our bodies, I guess, and our souls. We come empty, we leave empty. However, we leave feeling on people's hearts when we meet them. When you go, you'll leave your legacy the way you process what you went through. Yeah, beautiful. Robin Woodford, good to see you. Robert Mull says, enjoy the journey and study emotions and stress and master them. Life is the journey, not the race. And I disagree with life is short. Life is enough long if you know how to use it and live with legacy. There you go. That's a good conception of that.
Yeah.
And life is when you start to discover your own uniqueness and don't be a follower. Lead with your intuition and purpose, which the Creator gave to us. Thank you, Robert. Love your wisdom.
Amen. Now I gotta add to that. So here's the other interesting thing that happens too. So when you die, it's commonly said that you can't take any of this with you. None of it. That is actually not true. Here's your life hack. Are you ready for it?
Yes.
What you can take with you when you die is you can take the gifts and abilities that God has given you. You can take those talents. Remember the parable of the talents? You can take your talents and you can invest in them and you can double them and increase them. Now, this is not a merit for salvation or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. So any Christians listening to this, it's not what I'm saying. But that's what you can take to God, because that is the one thing that you can keep. Everything that you invest in and increase and double the investment, that gets to go with you. And so you can take that with you. There's a lot of people that haven't thought of it that way. I know I certainly didn't until just recently. I don't remember who I was watching or what I was watching that said that. And I was so moved by it. I actually made a recording of it on my phone so I wouldn't forget it. But it's true. We cannot take physical possessions or material possessions. We can't take those. But we can take our gifts and talents back to God.
Yeah, and the minute we die, our bodies become lighter, so we know our spirits go somewhere, right? So we're definitely spiritual beings having a human experience, and when we come back to our spiritual being, when we come back to ourselves and we realize where we've been limited by our physical being, which has been so tainted from so many outside sources and so much channeling and programming from a very young age, when we actually learn to silence our 60,000 thoughts a day that we have, 98% of which are the same thoughts we had yesterday for most people, and 80% are negative of those 60,000 thoughts. So it's actually coming into the silence. This is where the Vipassana and the silence retreats are really, really powerful, and meditation. All successful people I know meditate, or they have some kind of faith. Faith is one of the 13 principles in Think and Grow Rich, as well as having a sixth sense. Sixth sense is in there as well, and very, very powerful. Everything we're talking about has been an awesome conversation so far. We do need to wrap up shortly. So final thoughts, Leanne, and how can people connect with you?
Yeah, so can we share my link tree?
Yes.
That's the best way to connect with me, is via Linktree. And, I'll reiterate that life is as good as how we feel about it. It's different for everyone. There's no right or wrong. And it starts with you. It really does. It starts with you connecting to you, knowing what you want, and just going with what feels, what you would love in your life and how that makes you feel. Create a life you love and you won't need antidepressants.
Yes. So go to, as you can see on the screen there, go to linktree/Leanne Clune. That's linktr.ee/Leanne Clune, LEANNE CLUNE. And as we mentioned at the beginning of this show, for those who joined a bit later, we are launching a brand new book. We're collaborating with this beautiful project called Fear to Freedom: Conscious Creators Manifesting Magic. So if you want to chat about that, we are looking now for co-authors to come in on this project. It's going to be amazing collaboration. And if you've had any fear in your life and you've overcome it and you now feel free around that, then we invite you to have a conversation about coming into our beautiful book. And I must say, everyone you've had in your compilation books in the past have been extraordinary people, Leanne. It's always attracted extraordinary people. And you had how many authors in Radiant did you have?
Yeah, so Radiant was 22 conscious entrepreneurial women at the leading edge of business. So that was an incredible book, and we still get together, don't we, Aldwyn? Like, and we still wear the red, like it's Radiant and red. Red's one of my favorite colors. And then I had at least 5 of those authors came back for a second go in my recent book, Legacy Business Builders, creating a business and a life on purpose. So Aldwyn was one that came back, and that's it. It's about, to me, it's one of my purpose projects, doing the books. It's a way that elevates business women and men. We're calling both men and women for our new book, aren't we, Aldwyn? Fear to Freedom.
Yes.
And it really is an incredible platform to elevate your visibility, but just getting your story out. And Aldwyn and I will train you on how to do it. Getting it out will create enough social, you'll have enough social media posts for 12 months just by writing your chapter. You may, change directions in your business a little, because things become clearer when we write it out, don't they, Aldwyn? Have you found that?
Yes, absolutely. And you had 11 authors in Legacy Business Builders.
11 authors. So, so this one we're going to go for 33, aren't we, Aldwyn?
We are. We're going to be 33. We love the numerology. We love the numbers. And of course, 80% of anything you do is marketing, my friend. So you could have the best book or the best product out there, and if no one knows about it, well, what's the bloody point, right? So we're going to also have a whole marketing package around this. It's going to be really, really cool. And we're doing a crazy price initially, because it's our first collaboration book together. So reach out, send a private message to Leanne or myself if you want to be involved in that book. You'll be seeing more promo on it coming out in, we just literally announced it today. So this is very exciting. Here on the 5th of February, 2025. Today's the day, and so excited about this project. And we're going to have so much fun as well with this. So really cool. So reach out to us if you want to be involved in that. Now, your favorite quote or motto, Leanne, I think you might have just shared it there, but if you could repeat that, your favorite quote or motto.
So it was actually the chapter title of the of my chapter in the Legacy Business Builders book, and it starts with you. Everything starts with you. So you make the choice to up level in your life. You make the choice to look at your resistances, to consciously create. You make it. It starts with you.
Absolutely. And you can also go from being a num-num to being a conscious creator right here. So,
yes, we're about fun.
I don't know why that is why. I don't know why those words are just so hilarious and just provoke so much laughter. It's just so funny.
So on that note, Ken, how can people connect with you, my friend?
First of all, don't be a num-num. So if you haven't picked up on it already, I've thrown a lot of stuff out there along the lines of what I do and what I help people do. So I've lost 62.5 pounds. I've kept it off for going on 7 years now, as I've recently updated that statement, because I'm like, that's closer to 7 years now. And I've done all that without a diet and having it be sustainable. That is what I do for people, is help them to get out of this matrix food system and how to finally start living in freedom with their food choices. So with that, what I have created is a mini educational boot camp where I am literally giving away my 3 top secrets to help you break free from the sugar addictions, the snacking issues, the hunger issues, the emotional eating that a lot of people are beating themselves up over, lose that last 20 pounds, all of it in just 3 one-on-one sessions with me. You will be equipped with an empowered mindset shift. Number 2, you will be equipped to see past the industry lies and avoid the common pitfalls. And number 3, you will be equipped to see past the marketing deceptions of this industry. They put it all over the packaging. They make you think what you're buying is healthy, and many people are believing it. because of the marketing that's out there. I help you to literally see past all of that and exit on the other end standing empowered, and you'll never look at food the same way again, in a very empowering and freedom way, not in a deprivation way, and not in a frustrating way. Very freeing. That entire boot camp, the 3 sessions with me, everything that's packed in there is going for only $97 right now. And that is a steal, you guys. Right now, I don't know how long I'm going to keep that price there. I might raise it again sometime in the near future, but for now, we're at $97. The boot camp has been valued at $1,500. You got nothing to lose but those extra pounds, and you've got everything to gain in the right way. So reach out to me. You've got www.masteryweightloss.com/connect. In there at the top of the list, there's a button you can click to join my boot camp. Join it. Like I said, you will not be disappointed. Also on that list is a link towards the mid to bottom is a link to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am putting out a lot of content, and there's already a lot of content on that channel that you will glean a lot from. So subscribe to my YouTube channel, click the notifications to notify you every time I come out with a new video. Connect with me on Facebook. That's another link that's in there. And then lastly, if you just want to get on a Zoom call and ask me some questions, there's a link in there to connect with me there. It's www.masteryweightloss.com/connect. And that is how you can connect with me. My quote. So I've got 2 of them, and both of them just totally go perfectly in with everything we have discussed. Here's the first one. This one's from Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7. He, as he thinks in his heart, so is he. Right? Here's the last one. The only thing standing between you and your goal is the story you keep telling yourself as to why you can't achieve it. Can I get a mic drop?
Amazing. Oh, there we go. It just happened. Oh, well done. Well done. A few mic drops, actually. It was so good.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Thank you so much, Ken. And for those who want to connect with me, just hop along to a link tree /Aldwyn. That's linktr.ee/Aldwyn, spelled ALDWYN. In there, you'll find some free media resources if you want to be seen, heard, and known amongst the noise. We do this through mass media exposure and strategic connections. Then reach out there. Also, you'll find all my social links. You'll find the Global Good News Challenge, which is a great way you can market yourself for free every single month. You will feel amazing when you get into gratitude. You will be lifting your consciousness. You'll be helping to reduce depression and suicide rates by doing the Global Good News Challenge. Also, we have my YouTube channel there. All our Spotify links, everything on there. Connect where you want to connect on any social media channels you want to connect on there. I haven't got any events as such lined up. We did a few events called Propel Your Profile in 2025 recently. If you do want the replay of a previous event, reach out to me. We did have a VIP option. I can give you that option if you want to get a 2-hour session of how you can get yourself out there and boost your profile. Then we can chat about getting you the replay. Send me a private link there. And make sure you like my Facebook page and subscribe to my YouTube channels as well. There's my Facebook page, Aldwyn Altuney Media Queen. We put all our links on there. Instagram, LinkedIn, of course, we're all over it. So connect where you'd like to connect. And my quote today is, our greatest human adventure is the evolution of consciousness. We are in this life to enlarge the soul, liberate the spirit, and light up the brain. And that is a Tony Robbins quote. Beautiful quote. I just did his Time to Rise summit, actually, 5 a.m., 3 days in a row with Tony Robbins. Was awesome. 65 years of age, and he's an absolute trooper. I love his work. And you can see how much passion he has for what he does. He's absolutely brilliant. So thanks to Tony Robbins and all the mentors out there. Now, my tagline is be seen with the Media Queen, and come and be seen with us. Come and join our collaboration book project with Leanne, Fear to Freedom. If you want to come on a Total Truth Show episode or Media Queen TV, then reach out to Ken or myself. Any final words before we wrap up today? Leanne?
Thank you so much, both of you. It's been incredible. And it's just, if you really want to live and not just exist, it's time to step into your conscious creator self.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think I need to say anything else. I really don't. I mean, as it was, I was a little bit of a fire hose on this episode, but so good. So, I mean, look, you guys, yeah, that's what we've talked about today is a no-brainer. But one thing to keep in mind is remember, it cannot and it will not. It cannot and it will not be an overnight process. You must embrace the journey. You must embrace the learning curve. You must embrace the challenges that come with it. And you must become. That's all part of the journey. That's what you get to do. So Leanne has given some absolute phenomenal, stellar things and a couple of the main secrets, which I'm pretty sure are part of her core program. So you've got some core stuff today that you can implement into your day-to-day life and journey yourself. And so start applying that, because there are some simple principles. Same thing that I gave 3 ways you can get out of the industry. She just gave her ways on how you can get out and kind of start empowering yourself. So that's it.
Yes, beautiful. And remember, the healing is in the feeling. So feel the joy, feel the love, feel the flow, feel the freedom, whatever that is for you, and embrace it, embody it. Thank you so much. Everyone who's joined us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch. Stephen Rodden, good to see you there. Just joined us. Thank you. Let us know, what have you got out of this show, those that have tuned in live, and if you're watching the replay, what are some gems that you've got out of the show? This will help to instill and integrate the learnings even more that we've shared here, and help share the joy with others. And of course, if you love what you've seen, then please share this show with someone that you think could benefit, and subscribe to all of our podcasts, etc., and YouTube channels. Thank you so much, Leanne. It's been amazing having you on. Can't wait for this journey ahead with you. Have a blessed day wherever you are in the world. We'll see you again next time here on another amazing episode of Total Truth Show soon. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ken. Bye. See you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.